When Iowans hear the name Nikki Haley, what do you want them to know about you?
I want them to look at the fact that I'm someone that loves America and believes they deserve better. What we want them to know is the way the country is now doesn't have to be the way it's going to continue going forward. We need a new generation. I'm an accountant, not a lawyer. I'm the wife of a military man who served in Afghanistan. I'm the daughter of legal immigrants who understand that when they came 50 years ago, our country was strong and proud. We need to get back to that. I'm a mom of 2 children, and I want their lives to be better than what we had. That's what we're trying to do, and I'm a problem solver. I did it as a 2-term governor that took over double-digit unemployment. I did it again and turned it into an economic powerhouse. I did it at the UN when I took the kick me sign off of our backs. I want to do it for America.
And you talk about being part of a new generation. Looking at kind of a post-Trump era, a lot of voters see you as someone who's praised Trump, someone who's also criticized Trump, and they wonder, are you a part of a new generation or are you part of a Trump era? What would you respond to that voter?
You know, it's funny. The media thinks that you have to be 100% Trump or 100% against Trump. He's my friend. I enjoyed serving with him. We got a lot of good things done on foreign policy, and I think he was the right president at the right time. I don't agree with him on 100% of things. I don't agree with my husband on 100% of things. So when he did something good, I praised him. If he does something wrong, I say it. I'm a truth teller, so I just call it like it is. I think that we need to leave the drama and the status quo of the past. I think we don't need to have somebody that's 80 years old in D.C. I think we need a younger generation to fix things. That starts with term limits. That starts with mental competency tests for people over the age of 75. It starts with realizing that Republicans and Democrats have gotten us into this economic spiraling out of control on spending that we need to stop. And that comes with a problem solver, and that's what I want to do for America.
Another thing you called for today would be changing the retirement age. What age would you like to set the retirement age at?
So what I said is we have to acknowledge entitlement reform. And the way we acknowledge entitlement reform is just like I take care of my parents. They're both in their 80s. We shouldn't touch Social Security or Medicare for our seniors or anyone that's coming up on retirement. My kids are in their 20s. Those are the ones we need to change the age for. So we need to start making sure that it actually relates to life expectancy. Back in 1935, life expectancy was 65. They raised the age of 65. Life expectancy was 62. Now it's 87, and we've still got it at 67. So what I'm saying is for the younger generation coming in, we need to make sure that we go and extend the retirement age for them. We need to make sure that we limit benefits for the wealthy. We need to make sure that cost of living is tied to inflation. And we need to make sure we expand Medicare Advantage plans so that people have more competition and costs go down.
When you say expand 70, 75, 80, is there a range kind of that you're looking for how it would relate to life expectancy for the younger generation?
I think what you want to look at is it's not so much about what the actual age is as the principle of it. Right now, Social Security is going to go bankrupt in 10 years. Medicare is going to go bankrupt in 5 years. Our kids know they're not going to get what they're supposed to get. Let's keep our promises for all the seniors and everyone that's put in. But for the new group coming in, let's change the rules. Let's make sure we can do something so that they can have something at the end of it.
Now, you talked about your experience in South Carolina, that you know what it's like to be underestimated. You talked a lot about your accomplishments in South Carolina. How does that translate to a larger stage when you're traveling all across the country with a lot of different constituencies in different states?
I've had executive experience. I know what it means to balance a budget. I know what it means to keep South Carolinians safe. I know what it meant to cut the spending and call out Republicans and Democrats when they did that. I knew what it meant to get immigration under control and pass a mandatory E-Verify system across South Carolina. I understood education and said if a child can't read by 3rd grade, we can't pass them to 4th grade. Everything I did, we were results oriented. And when you've been an executive of a state, you know what it means to run something. I've also been a UN ambassador that didn't deal with one country. I dealt with 193 countries. And so when you've had that foreign policy experience and the executive experience, you've got what it takes to make sure you can be the problem solver for the country.
Okay, my last question for you is, Iowa's known as the state that winnows down a field of candidates, a really important role that we play. When we're looking at what looks to be a crowded 2024 field, how do you set yourself apart from other candidates that may say that they also want to be part of a new generation or they also want to provide a new path forward? How do you convince Iowans that you're the alternative they should pick?
Well, first, look at the fact that I was a two-term governor that turned her state into an economic powerhouse. I also have the foreign policy experience from being at the UN and being tough with our adversaries. So no one else has that experience. But more than that, I got in. I'm decisive. I didn't have to wait to see who else was going to get in. I didn't have to wait and worry about other things and be scared of people. I got in because I know why I'm doing this. I want America to be strong and proud. I want to get us to a country that's not dying in socialism or defeatism. And I want our kids to be proud of where they live. And no one will outwork me. I was in Council Bluffs last night. We're in Nevada today. We're going to be in Des Moines tomorrow. And we're going to keep coming back. And that's what it's going to take. And no one will outwork me. No one will outsmart me. And at the end of the day, we will make everybody in Iowa very proud.